Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Jen Sugarmeyer, your host of Mindset in the Morning. And we are here live 5 days a week at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time, but it's YouTube, so you can tune in whenever. And we are talking about all things mindset. And this week, we've been especially talking about how your mindset impacts your mental health and how having a solid mindset is going to help you keep from, going into a depression and some of these poor mental health challenges, which we know have spiked since COVID. So every day we are here talking about things that are relevant to your daily life so that as you go out and you hit the day that you know how to bob and weave as life is happening. And so I thought this was a very relevant topic that we're going to dig in today, and how the mind can actually help reverse signs of aging. How the mind can reverse signs of aging. So I think it's funny. I've had this comment, I don't know, a handful of times recently. And when something comes up enough in my world, I think, okay, let's talk about this on the show. And the comment that I've received is, wow, you look really good for your age. So before we dig into that, if you've not yet liked, if you've not yet subscribed, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It helps with the algorithm. This isn't just for me. This isn't just for you. This is for everyone. We want to make sure that people are able to get access to this channel. And the way that we do it, I don't make the rules, but it's through those likes, it's through those subscribes. So thank you so much for your support. Appreciate you. All right, we're going to dig into how taking care of the mind can actually reverse signs of aging. And we're going to talk about this. Yeah, you look good for your age, which I find a little bit of kind of an odd compliment, because it's like, I'm super flattered. I get what you're saying. I have a good mindset about it. I'm like, oh, thank you. I do look good for my age. But I'm also, in a sense, it's a little bit like, because you're kind of old. there's like this a little bit of that, but I can absolutely get over it. But it is kind of one of those, like, you look great for your age. We could just say you look great. That's good too, but that's okay. If you want to throw in for your age, I'm going to take it as a compliment either way. But it's one of those that I'm like, yeah, maybe a little backhanded compliment, but I know where you're going with this. So how does the mind overlap with your health? Well, let's talk about stress. I want to focus specifically on stress today. And have you seen people and they have this furrowed brow right here because they're doing this all the time? Oh, they're really just stressed out. And then all of a sudden, those muscles have formed and they've got those stress lines, or maybe they've got lines all around their eyes, or yeah. And you just see, maybe they've got those puffy eyes. Those are signs of stress. And what happens when the body is stressed is that it actually is breaking down proteins in your body that impacts the elasticity in your face. So we hear, oh, let's have collagen to rework the skin and things of, like that. But why are these proteins breaking down? Well, yes, naturally things do break down with age, but stress speeds that up. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I think many families, many people, especially in the United States, are stressed. A lot of times people aren't taking their vacations the way that they need to. We don't, in the US, we don't get vacation time like many European countries do. It's just not a focus. We focus on work, work, work. We got to work. We got to work. We feel guilty about taking a lunch break. We just got to keep working. We got to stay late until it's done and work, 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 work. And it's ingrained in our culture. And yeah, people aren't taking the time off and doing the things that they need for themselves. So, it can just be really stressful. And all of a sudden you're seeing it here and you're seeing it here. And that cortisol is being released. And that's impacting your body. Excuse me. Hold on. Let me back up. The proteins that are breaking down are impacting that elasticity. Another thing that is happening is cortisol is being released. I kind of merged two things. Cortisol is also being released in your body. So what happens? Well, you're more likely to gain weight. It happens. And when we're stressed, we're not thinking about mindset. We're not putting sleep maybe as a priority. We're so focused on what we're doing that becomes our whole focus. And we know that there are certain things that we can do, and we're going to talk about those, which, by the way, I did not have a good night's sleep last night. And not because I'm stressed, but because I just didn't have a good night's sleep. I got up in the middle of the night and I was up for a few hours. So yeah. So there's that. But we know that there's certain things like sleep that you need to help your body to recover and recoup. And we're going to go through some of those things. But when we're so focused on whatever it is that's stressing us out, that becomes our main focus. It can consume us, consume all of our thoughts. And then that stress, it turns into fear, it turns into anger, it turns into resentment. Stress is a state of suffering, and it's not one that we want to be in. So it's causing us wrinkles, it's causing us weight gain, and all of a sudden, we're starting to look older. So when someone is taking care of themselves, maybe they look good for their age. So that's why we want to talk about that here today. So how does the mind overlap with all of this? We talk about tools and how to engage them in our mind. And one of the tools in your toolbox is control. You have the choice to where you put your energy. And we know that where your thoughts go, your energy flows. If you are putting your energy into things that you cannot control, then two things happen. A, you're wasting your time. Like there's nothing you can do about it. And B, you go into a state of suffering. And I have yet to find a use case. I would love to find a use case where this isn't relevant, where no, we aren't going into a state of suffering when you are trying to control something that is outside of your control. Like, oh, you get happy, you can't control it, you get happy. I'm trying to find a use case, but I haven't found one yet. So I would welcome one. But when we're trying to control something and we're not able to, then we're wasting our time and it's getting us frustrated. It's stressing us out. We're getting upset over it. We're getting angry over it. So we go into some state of suffering when we try to control things that are outside of our control. So as you are going about your day, your life, what are you putting your time and energy into that you really can't control? And when you learn to look at life and say, okay, this is something that I do control and this is something that doesn't. Like how many times do your kids stress you out? Yeah. Or your spouse or your friends or your job. And think about how much of those things you actually control. I don't know what it is about your job. Maybe it legitimately is something that you can control. Maybe you have a deadline at the end of the week and you have to just plow through. And that's something that, you've got this deadline. I mean, I don't know. Let's look at options. Let's start to get creative with ourselves. You say, okay, no, this is legitimately something that I do control. I mean, are there other people that you can ask? Can you talk to your boss about a date extension? I mean, does it have to be this Friday or can it be maybe on Tuesday next week? That way you've got a little bit of the weekend. Maybe you've got Monday, whatever that looks like. Can you push that out a little bit? Because I don't know about you, but in my corporate career, we need this tomorrow. And I don't know how many times I have jumped through massive hoops to get something tomorrow, and it doesn't get looked at for weeks. It doesn't get acted on for months. My last job that I had, I was working, I had a contracts and procurement team. We need this contract reviewed by, in 2 days. I'm like, this is like a 75-page contract. I actually have a job too. How am I supposed to go through and redline and go back and forth and collaborate and just clean this thing up? Because it's not just me to review this contract. I have to talk to all the various departments and make sure that they're represented. And what? 48 hours? That's not even realistic. So I can say yes to all these things and have no boundaries, have no standards, or I can push back and I can educate people and say, you know what, that's not realistic. And if they say, well, then you're fired. I mean, then is it really someplace that you should be working? Someplace that's saying, yeah, you have to work under this intense, immense stress and pressure. Now, it's going to happen from time to time. It doesn't mean that we just up and quit our jobs, but you teach people how to treat you. You teach them how to treat you. So you are the one that has to set those standards for them. Hey, look, I know you don't read contracts, but from my experience, I'm going to need an entire week. So if you want my services, if you want me to read your contract, you have to give me a week or I don't do it. I'm not going to stamp my name on that contract. You're going to have to find somebody else to do it. How would that feel? Instead of you just taking things on and getting stressed out, you start to look and say, hold on, let me get in the driver's seat. Let me put those standards because I can control myself and I can control if I'm educating people or I just take what they give me. So what about your situation are you able to control? And it could take some education. Absolutely. It could take educating people within your work environment that, hey, it takes a certain amount of time to do these things. I'm going to do the best that I can, but I'm human. I'm human. If you want a robot to read this, then have a robot read this. But if you want a human and you want it done right and you want it done well, this is what it's going to take. So what do you control in the situation and what don't you control? And when you don't control something, you got to let it go. You got to let it go. All you can do is the best that you can do. It's like when you go to cast your bid for an election, cast your ballot. You say, okay, I'm going to do the best I can with what I have. I want to go for this president. I want to go for this, whatever. And you cast your ballot, and that's that. It's not up to you who wins or who loses. You did your part. But at that point, it's out of your hands. You did everything that you could do. Maybe you went and rallied and you lobbied and you tried to get people to understand your positioning and why your candidate is the best candidate. You really went above and beyond, but there's nothing you can do about the actual person that's getting elected. All you can do is what you can do. And we have to understand this topic because when we understand control, it's like it totally changes. If you are trying to control things and it is causing you that stress and that anxiety, and you're just like, oh, I've got to, this is where you're breaking down the proteins in your face. You're prematurely aging. You're releasing cortisol and you're gaining weight. You're not benefiting your body. So understanding your mind and that simple tool of what do you control versus what you don't control? And if you don't control it, you got to let it go. If you do control it, what are your options? Do you stand up for yourself? Do you ask for help? Do you push back? Remember, you teach people how to treat you. So what is it that you need to do in order to have some more options in your life? Because either you are happening to life or life is happening to you. If people just keep If this is a constant thing that you see in your life and people are giving you 24 to 48 hours to review a contract or whatever you're doing, that's a standard that you've set. You've said to them, you've communicated, this is okay. This is okay. What if you put a document together that said, this is how you operate with me and my team? Minimum 72 hours, minimum 96 hours, minimum 7 days, 5 business work days, whatever it is. And you put those and I will give you best effort if it's less, but know that it will not be the same level and standard as if I had an entire week. You could say something like that. But if people don't know, they're just going to operate in this firefighting mode. And I see it so often in corporate. And I think just in our lives in general, it's just this constant panic mode. I need this. 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 And if we took a step back and we said, hold on, let's look at our options. Let's go through them. What do we control? What don't we control? Trust and faith, huge in this. We talk about confidence, and that's the definition of confidence. You trust that everything's going to be okay. Sometimes we're stressing ourselves out like, but what if we just let it go and we said, you know what? I trust that however this is going to end up, like the presidency, like whoever gets elected for president, the person that gets elected may not be your choice. And there's nothing you can do about it. And you just have to trust that everything's going to be okay, that the nation's not going to fall apart. And if it does, that there's going to be enough advisors at the senior executive level that are going to help rally around and get things back on track. Not everything is going to be this upward trajectory. There's going to be ebbs and flows. We just got to trust that everything's going to be okay. We have to trust the people that, hey, this person was a candidate for a reason. Half of the population liked this person. They're a pretty cool neighbor. I don't really agree with their political opinion, but they're a cool neighbor. So they must see something good in this candidate, even though I don't. So I'm just going to trust. I'm going to let that go because I don't control it. I have faith in the universe. I have faith that things could work out, that they could work out. And we have to start having this trust and this faith with ourselves, with our nation, with our coworkers. We have to be smart about it as well. You know who to trust. You don't have to trust everybody. You don't have to trust everything. But start to have that confidence within yourself to say, hey, I'm going to give some trust in myself that everything is going to work out with this speech that I've been preparing, with this project that I've been working on, with this thing that I'm doing, with this church group that I'm leading, with this bake sale that I'm doing. I just trust that everything's going to be okay versus I'm just going to stress out over it, because stress doesn't equal results. Results equal results. So what if we just focused on those things that we can control? We say, I trust myself, my abilities. I trust my higher power, and not just for me, but for the universe. I have faith. I trust. And we started to just let go. And we're not putting that constant impact, that pounding on ourselves day in and day out. And guess what? Guess what you're going to start to hear? Wow, you look really good for your age. I've seen people that have dialed down the stress in their life, and it's amazing what starts to happen to their skin. I've seen it in myself, less breakouts. Stress causes me to break out, and I get bad breakouts. Weight gain, the wrinkles starts to go away. So do yourself a favor and start to utilize your mind. You're going to see a change in your body. You're going to be able to have more flow within yourself. And instead of stress eating, you're like, wait, hold on. That's not what I need to be doing. I don't need to be putting all this crap in my brain. Because maybe you go for sugar, maybe you go for some of these things that you know aren't good for you. And you start doing the right things for your body because you're thinking through it. You say, hold on, I'm in the driver's seat of my life. Life isn't happening to me. I'm in the driver's seat. I control my life and I don't want stress. So how can I set it up that I don't have it? And watch those years move away. Plus, there are things like eating right, sleep, exercise, all those things that you know. So, with that, you can use your mind to reverse the signs of aging. Why don't you start today? Why stress? Keep those proteins in your face so that you have nice young skin. All right. If you've not yet liked, if you've not yet subscribed, go ahead and do that. And if you're interested in working one-on-one with me, if you're interested in my services, you can go out to jensugarmeyer.com. That's sugar with an E. I'm the one, the only Jen Sugarmeyer. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, wherever it is. Instagram's probably the best place for me, but jensugarmeyer.com is the hub for everything. I also just released my third book, Confidence is Queen. So if you want some more tips and tricks in the mind, check out Confidence is Queen. It's on Amazon today. So I will see you back here, same time, same place tomorrow, talking more things mindset, because mindset is so relevant, whether it is getting you through the day or reducing your wrinkles, it impacts everything. All right. We'll see you here tomorrow.